Morning light fell softly on the peaks of northern Georgia, where rolling mountains met sprawling farmland. Small towns dotted the valleys, each filled with close-knit communities that always seemed ready for whatever surprises nature might throw their way. But no one in the sleepy region of Springville was prepared for what would unfold one spring afternoon at the local landfill. The landfill had no particular charm, a wide swath of land bordered by chain-link fences where old furniture, discarded tires, and heaps of household waste piled up daily. Due to stricter health regulations, the site had a manager named Darius who oversaw the tractors that pressed trash into compacted layers. He made sure safety standards were met and hazardous materials were kept separate from typical refuse. But even with his diligent oversight, no one expected a miracle amid the broken items and rotting leftovers. It began when a regional poultry farm experienced a catastrophic power outage. The refrigeration system failed during a particularly hot weekend, leaving approximately 20,000 eggs to spoil. With local charities refusing them for fear of food poisoning, the farmers had no choice but to dispose of the potential hazards. The eggs arrived at the landfill in dozens of cardboard crates, unceremoniously tipped into the garbage heap to break down like all the rest. For weeks, the eggs sat buried under newer trash, barely noticeable among tattered plastic bags and discarded scraps. As spring advanced, temperatures began rising steadily, with Georgia's sun blazing down day after day. Unusual spring rains maintained a high level of humidity in the air. The peculiar combination of consistent warmth, moisture, and insulation created something unexpected, a makeshift incubator beneath the layers of trash. Some eggs, protected from extreme temperature fluctuations and crushing pressure, remained intact. Darius first noticed something unusual during his morning inspection rounds. A persistent chirping noise, faint at first, drew his attention. Initially dismissing it as distant songbirds, he became increasingly puzzled as the chirping grew louder each day. Finally, curiosity overtook him. He followed the sound, carefully navigating around towers of compressed garbage. Rounding a particularly tall mound, Darius froze in disbelief. Dozens of tiny, downy chicks were poking their heads out of cracked shells. Their bright little eyes regarded him with a mixture of confusion and curiosity. "This is impossible," he whispered, knowing that natural incubation required precise conditions. Yet here they were, living proof that life could emerge in the most unlikely circumstances. Some scientific factors had aligned perfectly. The layers of trash had created pockets where temperatures remained consistently around 99 degrees Fahrenheit, the ideal incubation temperature. The recent humidity prevented the eggs from drying out, and the cardboard crates had provided just enough protection to keep some eggs from being crushed. While certainly not all 20,000 eggs had survived, several hundred had somehow hatched despite the odds. News traveled quickly through the town's emergency notification system, originally designed for severe weather alerts. Unusual situation at landfill, hatched chicks appearing in large numbers. The message spread like wildfire through the community of 8,000 residents. By noon, the first curious onlookers arrived at the landfill's perimeter. By evening, the tiny chicks had begun wandering beyond the garbage heaps, seeking food with their instinctive pecking motions. Small clusters of yellow fluff scurried across the asphalt road leading out of the landfill. Drivers on the quiet back roads slowed or swerved to avoid the unexpected pedestrians. Dr. Elena Winters, the local veterinarian, arrived with crates and feed. "They need proper nutrition and warmth immediately," she announced, organizing the gathering crowd into search parties. "If they spend another night exposed, many won't survive." The community mobilized with remarkable efficiency. The town's feed store owner, Jim Perkins, arrived with bags of chick starter feed. The high school gym opened as a temporary shelter with heat lamps borrowed from every hardware store within 30 miles. Children collected the wandering chicks in shoeboxes lined with soft towels, while adults constructed makeshift brooders from plastic storage bins. Mayor Patricia Collins addressed the growing crowd at the landfill entrance. "This is certainly unprecedented," she acknowledged, looking somewhat bewildered. "But Springville has always come together in unusual circumstances. The Department of Agriculture is sending specialists tomorrow morning. Until then, we need volunteers to help these creatures survive the night." Unlike typical disaster responses, this one came with peeping and fluttering. By nightfall, approximately 200 chicks had been collected and brought to the gymnasium. Volunteers counted another 150 still at the landfill, huddled in protected areas. Though many eggs had never hatched, or many chicks had already succumbed to the harsh conditions, the survivors demonstrated remarkable resilience. Darius found himself thrust into an unexpected spotlight as television crews arrived from Atlanta. "I've worked at this landfill for 12 years, he told the reporters, shaking his head in amazement. "I've seen all sorts of things dumped here, but I've never seen new life emerge from it." Over the next few days, state agricultural experts assessed the situation. The chicks were examined for diseases, a serious concern given their origin, but surprisingly, most appeared healthy. The officials theorized that the eggs had been freshly laid when the refrigeration failure occurred, and while they couldn't be sold for human consumption, the embryos inside many had remained viable. The town council called an emergency meeting to address the situation. After heated debate, they voted to establish a community chicken sanctuary on unused municipal land near the high school. Local contractors volunteered materials and labor to build proper coops and runs. The agricultural department provided vaccinations and guidance on proper care. As weeks passed, the landfill chicks became Springville's unexpected mascot. The local elementary school held a naming contest for the flock, eventually settling on the Phoenix Brood, a nod to their miraculous rise from discarded waste. T-shirts bearing cartoon chicks and the slogan, "Trash to Treasure, the Springville Miracle," raised funds for their ongoing care. By summer, the surviving chickens, approximately 300 in total, had grown into healthy young birds. Some families adopted small groups for backyard coops, while the community sanctuary housed the majority. The high school added a poultry science elective, giving students hands-on experience in animal husbandry. When the first egg was discovered in the sanctuary that August, the town celebrated with an impromptu festival. Mayor Collins cracked the egg into a golden bowl during a ceremony attended by hundreds of residents. "From unwanted waste to new beginnings," she proclaimed. "These birds remind us that potential exists everywhere, even in what others discard." The unlikely story brought national attention, with feature articles in agricultural magazines and a segment on a popular morning show. Tourism increased as people drove from neighboring states to see the miracle chickens and take photos at the sanctuary. 1 year after the discovery, Darius stood watching the now mature birds scratching contentedly in their spacious enclosure. A small plaque commemorated their extraordinary journey from the landfill to beloved community icons. "Sometimes trash is just trash," he told a group of visiting school children, "but sometimes, with just the right conditions and a little bit of magic, it transforms into something nobody expected." The children nodded solemnly, clutching small cartons of eggs from the Phoenix Brood, living proof that in Springville, Georgia, even 20,000 discarded eggs could hatch into something remarkable.